So this video was supposed to be which bantamweight fighter has the best chance of beating Sugar Sean O'Malley, because I thought he was going to knock Merab really out. But that's not the case, and Merab dominated Sean O'Malley. He beat him 4 rounds to 1, or you can even say 5 rounds to 0. And now he's the hunted. He's got a red dot on his head, and all these guys are going to be coming after him. And in this video, I want to talk about the 3 fighters who I think have the best chance of beating Merab. He's already beaten a lot of these contenders, and he's starting to clear out the division. And if he gets wins over potentially these 3 guys, then he's going to start having to start rematching some of these guys. But the 3 fighters that I want to talk about in this video are Deiveson Figueiredo, Cory, Sandhagen, and Umar Nurmagomedov. And I'm going to rank them in order from who I think has the lowest to the highest chance of beating Merab really. And now, with that being said, out of these 3 fighters, the guy who I think has the lowest chance of beating Merab is going to be Cory Sandhagen. Cory Sandhagen, he's a great striker. He's a great martial artist. He's constantly improving. You see him develop a wrestling game now. He's a lot more defensively responsible. He's not getting hit as much as he was. And yeah, he just keeps getting better. But a problem with a guy like Cory Sandhagen and his new style is the fact that he doesn't really have that much finishing ability. He might not be able to outpoint you. Maybe he might be able to control you, but he doesn't really have much of a finishing threat. He doesn't have really too many submissions, especially off of his back. He doesn't really have that KO power, and he doesn't really throw too many big strikes like head kicks, elbows. He does throw his flying knees here and there, but those are going to be very hard to land if you're just walking into range like Frankie Edgar with no defense. And Merab is he's very awkward, and it's going to be hard to find him. But Cory Sandhagen, yeah, like I said, he doesn't really have that finishing ability. We've seen him get submitted really fast and get controlled by Aljamain Sterling. And we saw in his last fight versus Umar, he didn't really have that sense of urgency when he was clearly losing the fight to try and finish the fight. So that's why I don't think the fight with Merab is going to be that much different from the Umar fight, if not more dominant for Merab. But the next person who I think has the second highest chance of beating Merab really is going to be Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, Deiveson, he is a flyweight. He's a smaller bantamweight, but this guy hits like a truck. He was able to drop Chito Vera. Now, that could be due to the amount of damage that Chito took in the Sugar Sean O'Malley fight, or that could just be the fact that Deiveson Figueiredo is one of the hardest punchers pound for pound. And unlike Cory Sandhagen, Figueiredo has a tremendous finishing ability. I mean, this guy can definitely hurt Merab if he hits him. He can submit him on the ground. We saw what happened when Deiveson Figueiredo took on Alex Perez. Alex Perez tried to take him down, and Figueiredo lashed up like a guillotine right away, and he submitted him. Yes, he did get controlled by Brandon Moreno a bit throughout the course of their fights, but overall, he did show some good defense on the ground and ability to scramble back up to his feet, and also throwing for submissions at times. Yes, Merab is a bigger guy, and that could be harder to do. And Deiveson had a massive strength advantage over Brandon Moreno, but that ability is still there for Deiveson. But the reason why I don't know if I'm going to put him at number 1 is due to the fact that he is an aging fighter. He did look like he was starting to slow down a bit in the Chito Vera fight, and that wasn't really a high-paced fight. And we know that Merab has arguably the best cardio in the weight class, and he's going to be pushing that pace if anything. And yes, those first few rounds could potentially be tough for Merab, but what happens when Merab is still shooting takedowns? He's still hitting you with a bunch of strikes. It's going to be a tough fight for Deiveson, but he does move very well. He does have great counter-striking, and his wrestling defense is incredible. I just don't know if he's still got that ability to maintain that sort of pace and power and aggression for those 5 rounds. And I don't know if he's able to handle a big grappler like Merab over the course of 5 rounds. But moving on to who I think has the best chance of beating Merab, and that's going to be Umar Nurmagomedov. Now, I think that potentially all these guys are better strikers than Merab. But what I think separates Umar from these other guys is his wrestling. He's got some of the best wrestling in this weight class, and defensively too. I'm pretty sure he's got some great wrestling, and I think his takedown defense is going to be up there with a guy like Jose Aldo. But I think he is going to be able to separate from those positions where Merab is like holding him on the clinch and kind of like landing some shots to the thigh, to the body with his knees and things like that. And I think, yeah, Umar is going to be able to separate and keep the fight on the feet and potentially score some takedowns on Merab. But I think Merab is going to be able to get back up to his feet eventually. But, you know, given that Henry Cejudo did take Merab down, control him a bit, I think that a guy like Umar could potentially do the same. And also his kicking ability is dangerous, and I think he could knock out Merab.